Welcome to another trip down the Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Mike. So grab a glass of your favorite bourbon and kick back.
Well, you know who likes to give back to their community is one of our sponsors, Jim. Chris Cruz from Cruz Customs Flags. He does custom flags out of bourbon barrels. Not only does he do that, but he's also using veterans to build those flags with. I've got one right behind me, Jim. I know you got one on your bar. Beautifully handcrafted, repurposing a bourbon barrel, not throwing it away, not making it into smoking chips, making a piece of Americana, right?
It's something that'll last probably quite a few years longer than a bourbon barrel would, right?
Not only that, but he's using veterans to build those pieces of art with. You know, you got to love that. But he's also giving back to his community at all times, helping veterans out like ourselves. He is really in tune to that. Go check his site out, cruisecustomsflags.com. You can buy his flags on there, key holders. Heck, Jim's got some these neat little cups that are charred inside, made out of oak, that you can put a cocktail in.
They call those the whiskey grail, don't they?
Yeah, that is. It kind of reminds you of, you know, when you think of a grail, but truly a whiskey grail right there. Go check those out at Cruz Customs Flags. Purchase from this guy, veteran owned, veteran operated, making a veteran built product.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Shannon.
And I'm Mike Hyatt.
This is the Bourbon Road. And today, Mike, it's another Craft Distillery Monday. We got this itty bitty, teeny weeny little distillery we got on today.
Well, it could have been Tennessee's first craft distillery.
That's true.
It's the DSP Tennessee one.
TN1 or
yeah.
So we're talking about Jack Daniels.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So today we finally got around to reviewing their bonded series, but we're only going to have one of the two on today. So they've got their Tennessee whiskey bonded, and then they have a triple mash, which is another bottle that they've come out. So we'll get to that one. But today we're just looking at the Tennessee whiskey, bonded Tennessee whiskey from Jack Daniels. I think it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Well, we both drank some Jack in our lives.
Yes, we have.
Probably in some Coke too.
Yeah.
Which Jack and Coke. I mean, that's a standard guy drink to go. If you don't want to drink a White Russian in a bar and you're a young man, you don't know what else to order. You go in there and get a Jack and Coke, nobody's going to bat an eye at you.
That's true.
Nobody's going to bat an eye. Well, yeah, this is it's a surprise to see Jack changing. A lot more has been coming out of Jack, I'd say, in the past, let's say 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing. You know, they did come out with their Gentleman Jack, and they had their rye come out and stuff, but they've just been.
And their single barrels are some of them are epic.
Oh yeah,
really good.
Yeah.
But today, you know, they've embraced the bottled and bond, and they've got a couple of bottles that meet those requirements. We'll just go over those again real quick for people who maybe just getting into whiskey and don't understand what the heck's a bottled and bond.
Yeah.
It means basically that the whiskey is 4 years old. It's bottled at 100 proof, and it was produced by a single distiller in a single distilling season at one distillery. Basically, it's not a blend of barrels.
So, do you know the mash bill on this one, Jim?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it's a standard JD mash bill, but I think you got it at your fingertips.
I do. It's 80% corn, 12% malted barley, and 8% rye.
So good malted barley content. Now this bottle's got a little bit of color to it.
It does. I'd call that dark amber to it. You know, you can see that barrel has aged it and stuff. Now we do know, like you said, this is 4 years old. It's not age stated though. And the MSRP on this is $30 for that 700 milliliter.
Yeah. So that's a big deal, right? I mean, historically in the US, bottles ship at 750 milliliters. They have for some time. But we're kind of an oddity here. You know, 700 mil bottles are pretty common outside the United States.
We're going to get into that question about that topic. on Wednesday's episode where we answer a bunch of listener questions. So listeners, make sure you stay tuned in on Wednesday and you'll get to hear that episode.
But just know that this one from Jack Daniel's is in fact a 700 milliliter bottle. It's 50 mils shy of what you're used to getting around here. And, but you know, you could count the pennies and figure out how much you have to shave off the cost of a bottle. Maybe a $32 bottle might be 750 milliliters, but a $30 bottle might be 700. Something like that.
I got a hint that they cheapen it up any. It's all about that money.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into that later. So $30 MSRP. You paid a little bit more, but at a store we've both been to.
Yeah. So I bought this at Chuck's in Bowling Green, right there off I-65, exit 22 in Kentucky, just as you're coming up from Nashville or heading towards Nashville. Paid a little bit more, but you know, I think that they were having trouble keeping it in stock because it's a wildly popular item right now. And, you know, they raised the price a little bit, I think, to try and slow the flow.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably want to do that. Well, heck, Jim, let's get to this thing.
All right. Man, it's got a pretty nice nose on it.
Yeah. Nice, sweet, caramely. It does have that Jack nose to it, right?
Yeah, it does.
What you expect from Jack.
Got that brown sugar, though. Brown sugar and
molasses.
Yeah.
Sorghum molasses.
It's kind of a bold nose. It does have a little bit of ethanol on it. It is taking me, you know, getting me, opening up my nostrils a little bit, waking me up a little bit. But it's got some depth to it. It's a little bold. It's definitely not your everyday bottle of Jack.
Did your mom ever make those rolled up popcorn balls?
I mean, I've had them. I don't know that my mother made them, but
Have you ever seen anybody make those?
I haven't. No.
They take butter and that corn syrup.
That Caro syrup.
Yeah. And they kind of brown that and you get your pour it all over your stuff. And then you form it into balls and stuff. Well, I'm getting that whiff of that popcorn ball off this.
Okay.
Maybe that's at 80% corn on this.
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of fruit in there. And I'm not going to say it again. Stewed fruit. No, I am going to say it again. I'm getting a little bit of cooked fruit, steamed fruit, stewed fruit.
I actually was in the store the other day, Jim, and I saw a can of stewed fruit. And I almost grabbed it and bought it. And I was like, I'm going to give this to Jim. Give him a can of stewed fruit. I was like, I'm so happy to see that.
Yeah, it does exist.
It does exist. Stewed fruit does exist, people. Well, heck, let's taste this thing, Jim. Cheers. That's an oaky sucker right there.
It is very much an oaky sucker. I'm going to say they're selecting barrels from locations in the warehouses that tend to introduce just a little more oak.
You ever had Banana Fosters before?
I have.
Getting a little Banana Fosters.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of that banana in there too. I was wondering if you might mention that. That's it's still got that. It's not a sweet, sticky kind of molasses. It's more of a kind of a bold, dark molasses, kind of a not super sweet. It doesn't hit you on the front of the tongue with all that sweetness.
But it attacks the back of the palate in your throat, and that hug, that Tennessee hug, starts working itself down. It's got a little spice to it, that little black pepper spice going on to it, barrel spice, whatever you want to call it. Man, this is the way you want, I guess, Jack to taste, right?
Yeah. I mean, oh my goodness. Jack's a great whiskey. Don't get me wrong. They've established themselves very firmly at the top of the heap with their Tennessee whiskey, but this takes it up a notch, and it definitely puts it into the sipping category instead of the Jack and Coke category.
Most definitely. It is sugary sweet. There is no doubt. When I drink it, it's like drinking toasted marshmallow with some oak on it. It's got that little bit of hint of tobacco with it. This is like an old school sipper's whiskey right here.
It gets a little tannic on the back end. I think it's all that oak because there's a lot of oak influence on this. It drinks beyond its age a little bit, I think.
It's got a nice finish on it.
It does.
Almost that medium to long. Is this surprising you?
It is. It does.
Good Lord.
There was a little bit gone out of that bottle. I don't know if you...
I noticed. I noticed. You've been sipping on it for a little bit.
Well, I did pour you a sample.
I got a sample downstairs at the computer. You know what, Jim, this kind of reminds me of, and I don't know if Jack did this because of what I'm about to talk about, but so you got Buffalo Trace that came out with their whole benchmark, right? Mm-hmm. Everything benchmark, you know, from bonded to foolproof. They had the whole lineup, single barrel.
Yeah.
Is Jack going that route with this?
Well, you know, I don't know. They've got 2 in the series, right? At least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
There may be more in the works that I'm unaware of. But they may very well be looking at introducing a series of bottles. But they called this their Bottle and Bond series. So I think everything they're going to do would be Bottle and Bond if you're going to call it the Bottle and Bond series, right?
Yeah.
Unlike Benchmark, which is not all Bottle and Bond. Only one of those is a bonded whiskey.
Yeah. I just thought those two were kind of comparison, and we liked the foolproof and the single barrel.
Right.
We even liked the bonded of that. We were both very impressed, but good Lord, Jack Daniels knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. This is a little bit of a step up for them. No doubt about it. This is elevating that Jack Daniels line a little bit, giving us something that's a little more tuned for, you know, the discerning palates that exist now. Bourbon and whiskeys, Tennessee whiskeys and bourbons. There's an awful lot of people who enjoy the hotter, higher proof whiskeys. And this fits the bill.
That does fit the bill for me anyways. You know, Jim, I'd call this a super buy. This is something you should have on your shelf. If you don't have a bottle of Jack Daniels in your house because you just don't like Jack Daniels, I say go out, try to find this bottle right here. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Mike. I think every bar should have this on it. And here's the reason I'm going to say they should have it. Conversation is great when you're at your home bar and you've got somebody coming over to have a few sips with you. And the whole conversation surrounding bourbons and Tennessee whiskeys and why one is called one and the other, that whole conversation can get pretty lively sometimes. And it's pretty nice when you've got a Tennessee whiskey that can hold its own at bonded, and you can put it side by side with a bonded bourbon, right?
It is nice. It is nice.
What a conversation.
All those, you know, we got good friends down at Leaper's Fork that they make a bonded whiskey and stuff. I think they do make a bonded rye. So this is just as nice. Heck, this almost makes you think it's from a craft distillery.
Yeah. It's good to see. It's good to see the big boys continuing to innovate.
And their bottle looks. This isn't the standard Jack bottle.
You sure? Well, it's not because it's 700 mils, but it looks a little like it, right?
It does look a little bit like the neck and stuff.
So it's definitely a new bottle, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but
well, heck, Jim, you awesome find. You know, I got to say everything about this bottle is Jack Daniels, aged in select barrels for added depth and character. Spot on, right?
Yeah, spot on. They're picking their barrels for this. They're not just pulling off the shelf, right? They know exactly what they want this profile to be, and they're picking the right barrels to get there.
Well, hats off to you, Jack Daniels.
And they got a few barrels to pick from.
Yeah, maybe just a couple. Just a couple. I think the only people that would hang toe to toe would probably be Jim Beam.
Yeah.
Jim Beam and them. But this is for you people that don't know, the listeners out there that don't know, Jack Daniels is a Brown-Forman brand.
It absolutely is.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Which would be the three big whiskey brands anyways.
It's Old Forester.
Yep.
Woodford Reserve.
Yes, sir.
A number of others, but let's just mention those to start with. And Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Well, Jim, another great review. Man, like I said, it's a buy. I think it's a buy for both of us. Obviously, it was a buy for you because you picked it up. But thanks for bringing this over and letting me sip on it on a Sunday afternoon.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad you gave us a pretty good pour there because I'm enjoying it. And I got a little bit left, so we'll keep sipping on this.
We're actually sipping out of these Tennessee Whiskey Trail glasses also.
Oh, I just noticed that.
Yeah, I just figured I got them down there at that Tennessee Whiskey Experience, and I was like, man, we're going to be drinking some Jack. Might as well drink them out of Tennessee Whiskey Trail Experience glass.
All right. Yeah. Well, Mike, where can people find us on the internet?
So you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I always forget about YouTube. If you're sitting at your computer at work and you're bored and you're not you got your work completed, hey, look us up. Check us out. There's not a whole bunch of videos on there, but you can hear our beautiful voices. Our main place is on Facebook, though. We'd like you to go check out us on there. Hit that like on there. And also, if you would, hit a review on there. You can review our Facebook page. We'd appreciate that. But we also have a private Facebook group, Jim, called the Bourbon Roadies.
Yes, we do. So it's a spot for people who love the Bourbon Road, love to drink whiskey, like to hang out in a general chat area and talk about whiskey and fun times and getting together and sharing whiskey. And we do share whiskey in that group. Absolutely. But it's good people. Nobody's really judgmental on anybody else. We don't have anybody who's chopping somebody else off at the knees for drinking the wrong stuff, because there is no wrong stuff. Whatever you choose to drink, it's your whiskey your way, right?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Absolutely. So we invite you to come in that group. 3 easy questions. Just go on to Facebook, search for the Bourbon Roadies. It'll ask you to join. You got to answer 3 questions. Do you like bourbon? Of course you do. Do you agree to play nice? We certainly hope you do. And are you at least 21? Because you got to be, drinking age to come in. If you answer those 3 questions, we'll get you admitted pretty quick. Come in there and join in the conversations and share your whiskey with others. It's a lot of fun. We don't sell any whiskey in there, though. If you're coming to sell, wrong place.
You get booted out.
That's right.
Well, Jim, we do 2 shows a week. Listeners out there, we got one show like we did today, 15, 20 minutes, a review of a craft distillery. Sometimes a big boy, a giant will review, like Jack Daniel's Bonded here. And then on Wednesdays, we have our long episode, a little hour sometime. Last week,
hour and a half.
Yeah. Great conversations with great guests, or it could just be me and Jim sitting down, sharing some pours, having a great discussion amongst 2 friends with some whiskey.
Like this week's coming up, right?
Heck yeah, you're not going to want to miss these questions that got asked. There's some good questions personally about us, and then our thoughts on some stuff that's going on in the whiskey world today.
Good deal.
So make sure you tune in. Well, Jim, I'm going to ask you, what's the next thing you had to do?
Well, you got to scroll on up to the top of that app, to the top of whatever it is you're using on your phone to listen to this, and make sure you hit that check sign, that plus sign, that subscribe button. Make sure that you get those notifications when an episode comes out from the Bourbon Road. When Mike and I put down a new episode, you want to get that ring, that bell, that alarm sound on your phone that says it's time to listen. And when you're done with that, scroll on down. Scroll all the way down to the very bottom where it says submit a review. We'd love to have you write a review for us after you listen to an episode. Let everybody know how much you like the Bourbon Road and whether or not those reviews, they go a long way to helping us get into doors at distilleries, get guests on the show, get free bottles that we can sample and test and tell you whether or not they're good to drink. Those reviews are very important. And Mike, what in the world's going to happen?
I was hoping you'd tell, but I'll tell him. I'll tell him. The big bad booty daddy of bourbon will come to your house holding this Jack in his hand, this Jack Daniel's Bonded. You and him are going to drink all night long. By the end of the night, I guarantee you give us that 5-star review and some comments. Like Jim said, those reviews are very important to us. They actually help us motivate us to get on down the Bourbon Road.
They absolutely do. Well, as Mike mentioned, we do 2 shows every week. We're always looking for content. We're looking for ideas. If you've got an idea for a show, if you've got a distillery in your hometown, if you've got a bottle that you've had on your bar, you've tasted it, and you think it's just phenomenal, you think it's one we ought to review, jump onto our website, go to our Contact Us page, fill it out, let us know. Mike and I are very approachable. We'll get back with you, and we'll see what we can do about getting that bottle on the show, or that distillery for that matter. We're also available through email. You can reach out to Mike and I through email. We will respond. I'm Jim at thebourbonroad.com. He's Mike at thebourbonroad.com. Like we always say, probably the best way. Slide into our DMs on Instagram. I'm Jay Shannon63.
I'm Big Bourbon Chief.
And we'll see you on down
the Bourbon Road.